All right, we unleashed a primordial shadow god. So new plan. Lin's voice, stripped of its usual swagger, echoed in the ruined chamber. He paced back and forth across the cracked flagstones, a caged tiger searching for an escape. Across the room, Sinju remained unnervingly calm, his focus dedicated to inspecting the razor-sharp edge of his emerald blade, its surface gleaming ominously in the dim light. Meanwhile, Amira was on her knees, her movements deliberate and careful as she gathered the scattered, glowing fragments of the keystone they had so foolishly shattered. The air hung thick with dust and the cloying scent of ancient magic now unbound. We can't fight what we can't see. Sinju's statement was flat, a warrior's simple logic delivered with an even tone that belied the cosmic horror they had just set free. He didn't bother looking up from his weapon, his focus a tangible force in the tense silence. It's a voice in our heads, a whisper of madness that promises power and oblivion in the same breath. It has no body to strike, no throat to slit. Our blades are useless against a foe made of pure thought and malevolence, an entity that exists everywhere and nowhere at once. But it wants one. Amira's voice, though soft, cut through the despair. She held up a pulsating shard of the keystone, its inner light shifting like a captive aurora. These aren't just stone, they're pieces of its sealed essence, fragments of its very being that were locked away for millennia. It will be drawn to them, instinctively, irresistibly. I can feel its hunger, its desperate need to be whole again. She looked at the brothers, a spark of scholarly brilliance igniting in her eyes. I can use them to forge a physical anchor, a beacon. It won't be able to resist trying to reclaim them. Lin stopped his frantic pacing, a flicker of his old, calculating self returning to his features. So we give it a target. A slow, dangerous smile spread across his face. We set a trap. It comes for the fragments drawn in by its own fractured nature. And when it manifests, when it finally gives us something tangible to hit, we hit it with everything we've got. The plan was audacious, bordering on suicidal, but it was a plan nonetheless, the first glimmer of hope since the shadows had consumed the sky. Everything we've got is the dragon. Sinju finally looked up, his gaze piercing and pragmatic as he met his brother's eyes. The draconic fusion they had achieved was a marvel of power, a testament to their bond. It was powerful, but it won't be enough to kill a god. We barely survived our last encounter, and that was just a sliver of its true might. We need more, something far beyond what we've ever conceived. Then we make it stronger. Lin's voice was a declaration, a challenge to fate itself. He looked from Sinju's stoic face to Amira's determined one. Our fusion combined matter and shadow, my strategy and your strength. What happens if we add a third element? He turned his intense gaze fully on Amira. Your magic, Amira, raw arcane power, the very fabric of reality, woven into our being. A three-way fusion? The instability would be off the charts. Amira looked down at her own hands, which trembled slightly at the thought. The raw magic coursing through her was a volatile force on its own. To weave it into the delicate, violent balance of the brothers' fusion was to invite catastrophic failure. We could be torn apart, our essences shredded and scattered across the ether before we could even strike a single blow. It's a risk we have to take. Sinju's voice was firm, resolute. He stood, his full height casting a long shadow in the chamber. It's the only plan we have. The three of them stood together in the echoing silence, the weight of their decision settling upon them. They were no longer just siblings and a friend, caught in a mess of their own making. They were the last line of defense against the suffocating darkness they had set free.